All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to our user group meeting today. We're covering the IMS Migration Unpacked, simplifying the transition for Marketo users. And I am happy to be joined by Ilona and Zoe. I'll let them introduce themselves in just a second here. As a quick reminder, this meeting is being recorded, so to assure that we're abiding by just the MUG Code of Conduct, we're just informing all attendees today that this deep dive will be recorded and shared to promote any training. So if you do not wish to participate live with the recorded session, please feel free to watch the recording at a later time, shut your camera off. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please shoot us an email at advocacy@adobe.com. Don't forget to stay connected with our chapter. You could sign up for Bevy, which is our new tool to monitor all of our events through Adobe Engage. You'll navigate to mugs.marketo.com /Adobe Deep Dive. Create an account. Make sure you're using your Adobe Marketo Engage account. And once you've joined a chapter, you'll be able to receive notifications from upcoming events, whether it be with this chapter or any other chapters that you're interested in. Right. So we also have a new learning path implementing a new Marketo Engage instance. This has recently been launched, and this is perfect for new administrators who want to use a self-service model for their onboarding and implementation. And what is it exactly? Well, it contains tutorials that provide step-by-step guidance to manage the implementation project cross-functionally with your teams, as well as configure any of the technical aspects when it comes to setting up Marketo. Some of the examples of the content that is covered is managing stakeholder communications, syncing fields over for native CRM connectors, organizing a new instance, and things like that. You can access this through the QR code through the bottom right-hand side here, or you can click the link on this deck that will be shared out. So, last but not least, there are some awesome events coming up. So here's a snapshot of our upcoming user group meetings calendar. So on December 18th, we have a virtual meeting coming up at Ask Me Anything with Sandy and Igna, as well as December 20th, Tokyo, another virtual meeting, the Kinito Mug. And January 16th, we have two events, Portland in-person meeting with measuring and forecasting success with Steve Hill, Seattle in-person meeting, getting your Marketo instance in shape for the new year. Then we'll move on to January 22nd in New York, which is another virtual Ask Me Anything with Igna and Sandy. And move on to London, January 24th. We have an in-person meeting, Mind the Gap, Maximizing 2025. Then in Belfast, Ireland, we have a hybrid Irish in-person launch mug. And then last but not least, in February 19th, we have our Portland in-person meeting with Rachel Squire, presents customer journey mapping. And of course, the big event that everybody's looking forward to, March 18th through 20th, is Adobe Summit. If you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets now and sign up. I know all the champions are excited to be there. I am excited to be there. So make sure you don't miss out. This will be definitely a great event. I know all of us are looking forward to. So I'm going to pass it over to our panelists today. My name is AJ Navarro. I will be kind of moderating for today's session. I will start with Ilona and let her introduce herself.
Hello, folks. My name is Ilona. I'm based in Belgium, working as a marketing operations manager for Datacolor. Happy to tell you more about our experience on the migration to Adobe's Identity Management System.
Hi, I'm Zoe Foreman. I work in-house for MSA Safety, safety product manufacturer for 6 years. I'm based in the UK and I have already migrated to the IMS. So along with Ilona, we're here to share our tips, tricks, gotchas, and hopefully make it as smooth for you guys as it has been for us.
Awesome. All right. So here's a rundown of our agenda today. We'll be talking about the introduction to the IMS migration, some of the benefits of migrating Marketo users to Adobe Identities, the steps that you'll need to follow of the migration process, how to prepare your teams, your colleagues for the Marketo user migration, post-migration, discussing what are the main changes and expected outcomes. And last but not least, we're going to end with some user tips, user experiences, and any gotchas along the way. Then we'll wrap everything up with any questions, concerns, as well as bring it all together with some helpful resources and just links to everything that we've covered today. Right. So quick question to get everybody started here, and feel free to comment here in the chat. At which stage of the migration to Adobe's Identity Management System, IMS, are you with your organization? A, have you not started the migration yet? B, currently migrating? Or C, you finished the migration? Okay. C, all right. So from the chat, I'm seeing a little bit of mix between A and B, and a little bit of C. I myself fall into the C category. Let's see. All right. So a well mix, I'd say, a pretty much balance between A and B. And for those of you at C, I'm glad that we all made it. So, all right, I'm going to pass it over to Zoe to talk about the introduction and just talk about everything IMS.
Okay, thanks a lot, AJ. Well, whether you like it or not, Christmas is coming, and so is IMS, migration to your Marketo instance. If it's not with you, like 60% of instances have already migrated. It will be within the coming weeks or months. So what's happening? Marketo is moving, and it's moving into the Adobe Experience League platform. So it will become neighbors with analytics and AEM and all the other Adobe products and suites. So it's moving from its old traditional Marketo platform. As part of this migration, which is actually the third step, Marketo support. So your support tickets, they will also be moving over to the Experience League. So we're going to run through what to expect and where you can get help along the way. If you're either an A or a B, you haven't started migrating, or you're midway through migrating. And for those of you who haven't started the journey yet, we're going to show you some insights of what to expect, how it'll look, and what you can do to help the migration go along the way. Okay, so why is Marketo moving? Well, there's a number of customer benefits that's going to happen. First of all, it means that you can manage Marketo Engage subscriptions and all users all in the Adobe Admin Console, which is the new home for Marketo. And this, like I said earlier, it'll sit alongside other Adobe products. It means you can also switch easily between different organizations. So if you've got multiple instances for one company, you can switch. It'll be one login, and then once you're in, you can switch between the instances as required. So it's a single sign-in, and it's using Adobe Identity, and it is across all Adobe products, and also you will still have access to the Marketo Nation community. So it's going to be one central place. So it's one big new home, and here it'll be everything. So it'll be your day-to-day Marketo, it'll be support, it'll be community, training, and lots of resources. The other thing, the exciting thing that the access to the new platform brings you is will also be product innovations. So that means that when you migrate, you'll be able to have access to the new email editor, which is coming early in 2025.
All right, in the next couple of slides, I will guide you through the different steps that you will have to take, or that you will be taking for the migration. So the first step, the first slide will be an overview of what you will see once you're migrated and once you're accessing experience.adobe.com. First of all, you will see the products that you have access to. So for instance, Marketo Engage. You will see the admin console, as well as dynamic chats, which is related to Marketo Engage. Yes, next slide, please, AJ. And the first step of the migration journey is the product migration. So that's what will happen first. So as you can see here, when you're in Admin Console, on the top of the navigation, you will see the Products button, and there you will have an overview of all the products that have migrated. So below you see Marketo Engage and Dynamic Chat, and as Zoe already mentioned earlier, for now, about 60% of all instances have been migrated. After the product has migrated, the next step is to get your users migrated. Next slide, please, AJ. Perfect. So on the left side of that slide, you can see all our employees and data color that have been migrated. Also interesting to see on the right side are the products that are also associated with every employee or every user within Marketo or within our Admin Console. And the next step, the last step of the migration is the migration of the support tickets. So once the product and the users are migrated, also the support tickets will be migrated, and you will see all the cases closed. In my case here, with all the details below it. So everything will happen step by step, and once you're familiar with Adobe Admin Console, you will find your way definitely in the different elements of where to find your products, your users, your support. There are two ways of user migration. The first one is an auto migration. So if you have less than 75 users, which was the case for Zoe and me, so you will see at a certain point, you will see pop-up banner appearing in your instance, and that you're included in a migration. So then you will follow all the steps that will guide you through that migration. For organizations with more than 75 users, there will be a self-service migration. This is not something that Zoe and I, neither I think AJ, have experience with. So if you have questions about that self-service migration, feel free to also reach out to Stephanie, who's also in the call today, for any questions related to this.
Okay, so how to prepare your colleagues for your Marketo user migration. The next few slides, we're going to start showing you sort of behind the scenes what to expect and the journey that you will have and the communication. So first up is to identify your systems admins, and if required, who in your IT team you need to discuss actions with, and basically appoint who is going to be the admin, the project manager to go forward. That admin, so as the admin, you're the one that will be getting the information from Adobe. So you need to familiarize yourself with the changes and the impacts of migrating to Adobe Identity. Also, you will need to announce the migration timeline and prepare the information and the communication with your own internal teams. So we found that it's best to appoint one admin as a project lead, and then they will go forward. So preparing your team. So this is whether it's in-house, agency, or whatever, communication is key. A lot of this is done by email. It can be a series of mini meetings. It really depends on your organization. But as the admins will be notified of the proposed migration date. Now that will be all admins that are in the instance. So like I say, you've picked one who's your project lead on this. Now the admin, you will be given a proposed migration date. Now that is a proposed one. You can modify that date or you can accept the date. You cannot postpone it indefinitely, but if your business is doing a crucial change, or there's an acquisition or something like that, is just respond to the emails and change the date. You can actually do that in the Marketo instance. Once you've agreed or accepted the date, the 30-day notification of migration starts to proceed. And this again is communicated. You will, every time you log into Marketo in the morning, you will see a banner saying that what's happening with the migration, where you are, what's going, and it appears there, like say, a login. There's also a series of countdown emails. Now this is where Adobe is very good at communicating, and these are sent to all admins for the instances. You will get separate ones for the sandboxes as well. It's not the same one. You will get, so it looks like you're getting duplicate communication, but one's for your production and one's for your sandbox. So we have a couple of examples of these emails. So you'll get one which is confirming your migration date. You can see here, this one was actually put down as the 10th of January. That date changed. You do get a second email the day before migration, and you'll also get an email saying migration's completed. Now, these are examples from Ilona and myself, because like I say, we were on the auto migration. These aren't the only 3 emails you get. There are other emails, just as a reminder, just checking in with you that everything's okay. Throughout this presentation, you'll see there's a lot of documentation and links that you can go to the nation and read through step by step and see some more additions. And also at the end, there's all the relevant links to the Adobe documentation. So you're not alone on this. There's a lot of documentation out there. And like I say, the communication from Adobe, you will be getting that on a regular basis. So preparing your team. I can't emphasize this enough. Communication is key. So however you do that, through emails, mini meetings, catch-ups, weekly, whatever the cadence is that suits your team, especially if you're across multiple regions. And one of the first things you may need to do is you need to explain how to create an Adobe ID. One thing we had was people say, oh, I've got an Adobe ID, but that was on their personal email address. And it may have been for Photo Express or something like that. So you do need to go back to basics and explain, show screenshots, provide links in an email of how to create that Adobe ID. You also need to confirm your migration date. So once that's fixed, obviously give everybody the heads up. So you're going to be a minimum of 30 days out. You also need to make sure that people, the email that they use for logging in for your company organization, that is the same one in the instance. So they need to create the Adobe ID with their company name. So in my case, it's Zoe Foreman at MSA. It's not one of my personal email addresses. At this stage, you can also highlight the Adobe app, which is a quick and easy way to sign in, but we'll show you some alternatives. And then another thing I did, I sent weekly emails because people were on holiday and things like that. So I did weekly emails and reminders. I also asked people to reply and confirm that they had verified their email within Marketo. I obviously could check, but I also asked them to confirm and come back to me, again, to confirm that they had set up an Adobe ID. And any problems to ask along the way. And then again, I did a sort of a catch up on the day after migration, just to check everybody had logged in. So on the day and the day after. The sign-ins, the accounts, again, you need to remember your email address and your password. So when you're setting up your ID, make sure everybody takes a note of what their password is. That was quite a common one I found. And then when we showed them examples of how to sign in, again, we'll show this later, but there is a new look, and it really is, as admins, start to get familiar with this. Now, it looks the same but different, if that makes sense. At the moment, there's a couple of duplicates. So down the left-hand side, you can see that there's the notifications symbol, you've got the history, you've got the maps, you've got users. But same on the right-hand side, where it traditionally was, you've got the little bell, which is, again, your notifications are still there. And as you see on the right-hand side, you can drop down and you can see, you can go from here to the documentation, what's new. You can go to Marketing Nation, the community, customer care, status, knowledge. So In some ways, things are duplicated at the moment, but the best thing is get stuck in. Everything that you had there before is still there. It just may be in a slightly different place or look slightly different. So nothing is lost. It's just different, but it literally will take you a day or two at the most to get familiar with it.
All right. And what after the migration has completed? Yeah, next slide. Thank you. So first of all, just an overview or a reminder of the things that have really changed on your side. So basically, the user entitlement to Marketo happens in Admin Console. So if you are experiencing issues with users that are not assigned to the right products, or if they are having troubles with getting into the system, one of my learnings was having to re-add employees to the product, so to Marketo, so remove them from the product and adding them back. That resolved many issues. After the users have migrated, also, like, you will notice into your admin tab on Marketo with a status IMS federated. So that means that the users are transferred. And if that happens, there are further no changes in terms of role management, workspaces and partitions, permission management. So this is all still managed through Marketo through the admin tab. And also, so as Zoe mentioned before, so it is very important that every single user needs to verify its ID by email. So they will receive an email and they have to confirm and verify. This is not the case for an API-only user, so there's no need for verification. So just to keep in mind. Yeah, and so this is a screenshot of, for instance, in the admin console, so the users that have migrated, and you will see the products that they're assigned to. The next step is if you go to the products, or if you go to the product section, you will see what products they're assigned to. So you have, here is the way to, if you're having troubles and you want to, like, through the path of migrating, I had some calls with support where I had to remove users from the product and reassign them, and this is the place where you do it. So that's a good takeaway from our own experience. And then last but not least, if you scroll down, one back, AJ, if you scroll back on that page, you will also have the options to edit the rights for every user to each of the products they're assigned to. So that's also all happening in this admin console. So it's a little bit like finding your way through the admin console, but once you're used to it, you will settle down, and it's very easy to navigate. Some other changes that are important to take into account. The first one is the URL structure. So in the beginning, I was still typing into my navigation bar engage.abmarketo.com, and then my history or my cookies, they knew that I would need to go to Marketo, but this didn't work out anymore. So it's very important to use experience.adobe.com in your search bar or in your bookmarks. It's also a very good gotcha from Zoe to, like, if you're subscribed to any report subscriptions, etc., or if you have documentation about your instance, to make sure you update all of the links, because the URL structure changes and you won't be able to access it anymore. So that's a very important note to take, and it's mostly because of habits that you keep on holding to what you're used to, but it's just a little change. Then the application login, as Zoe already mentioned. So one of, like, some of our colleagues here at Data Color, they kept on filling in their email address and their password, and they tried to log in, but it's really important that you use the continue with Adobe ID button to get into the system, because like yeah, whatever you like, otherwise you might end up in like a loop where you start like say forgot my password, but it's not working like that anymore. So it's really, you have to get used to it, to continue with Adobe ID, and then everything runs very smoothly. And other than that, the user settings, so Marketo profile settings are in the Adobe profile. The time zone remains local to a Marketo user. So for instance, I'm in Belgium, Zoe is in UK, so that's related to the personal user setting. Then there are some other settings that are defined by Adobe, such as, for instance, like during lunchtime, I'm leaving the system. In terms of security, it's kicking me out. So you will have to log in afterwards because there's inactivity, etc. But that's those are the main changes that you will notice post-migration. And this is, again, a screenshot of the new way of logging in into the system. So the continue with Adobe ID button is very prominent there. There are also options to log in with Google or Microsoft, etc. It depends on your organization whether you are allowed to, or whatever your IT department prefers. So that depends. And some additional screenshots on how to log in the new setting. So. Yeah, and after you log in, you will see the screen. So that's the if you logged in, that's the first thing you see. Then you click on the tile of Marketo Engage, and then you will have the option to choose between your production instance or your sandbox instance. You click on the right one you want to access, and you just enter into your instance. So it's very convenient, and everything is running quite smoothly. So also I noticed in the beginning, it took some, like I was kicked out more often in a shorter time frame, but now it has established very well, and it is very easy to, like, it's quite smooth. So you're just in that centralized platform or instance, and you can easily navigate and without getting kicked out. So great improvements.
Okay, so resources and support. Like I say, you're not alone. There's plenty of support and help out here. The new way to access support is via the admin console. This little video will sort of show you just how you submit a ticket. So the content's the same as you would submit at the moment. So you would go to support at the top. And then you've got your support summary. You could create a new case. You then open. You can see your existing tickets that are open, who was the admin, who put them in, what the subject is. So you can see there. If you open a new ticket, again, very similar. The content's the same as before. It might just look different. A lot more drop-down options. You just choose what you need. The priorities and title of your ticket. This is so you can find it. Description, again, as much as you can put in there. You can drop and drag even screenshots or that you've got to bring in, that you can show an issue or a problem, just to help the support team do that. And then when you're completed it, you sort of describe your issue, and you can, in this case, we're going to discard it because we don't want to create a new ticket. So very sort of straightforward. One thing to note, next slide please, AJ. So there is support out there. If you do try to go to support in your old instance, you will see this notice: your support portal has moved to Adobe Experience League. Please click here to go. So there is a link that will jump you straight into the admin console. and you can do that. So that's the old way of Marketo. You see it says Adobe Marketo Engage. That's where your old support was. The new support is now, it says Adobe Experience League, and it says how can I help. So once you're in Experience League, the good thing about that is you've got everything there. You've got your support there, which we just showed. You've got learning, you've got documentation, you can reach your certification, you can see upcoming events. There is a community link to Marketing Nation. That is still sitting outside, but the link is there. There's additional resources, and you can also look at your whole Adobe account. So literally everything it's a one-stop shop. Everything is there. It's got a much fresher look. It's more of the Adobe. It's the sort of the clean, the white, but you can see literally everywhere. So this is the home. Experience League will be the new home for whatever you need for Marketo at the moment. So what we're going to go now through, these are a few sort of tips and gotchas that we have come across ourselves, but also ones that other champions or other people have started or have shared with us along the way.
Yes, so it's a kind of a wrap up of the things that we already mentioned in the last couple of slides. So I think once you get the notification, it's very important to choose like one project manager within your system administrators and start communicating with your team. So for MSA, MSA Safety with Zoe, for Data Color it was me. Like if you are interested, like we have like we created a kind of a workflow or a process to inform our people on what's going to happen, what they had to do. So I think that's key for people who are not very very familiar in understanding what's going to happen and what the impact will be. Then the Adobe ID must be the same email address as your Marketo instance login. So that's an important one to keep in mind. And as mentioned before, also the email verification is required. So if people are on holidays or out of office while the migration is happening, just make sure you keep track of them and keep them in the loop or inform them that this is really needed before they can also migrate as users. The administrator can schedule a later date or a date that is more convenient for them if the proposed migration date is not suitable for you as an organization. And the last one I already explained. So one person to go to who's communicating and to go to if you have questions is very important and very helpful for your team.
Okay, thanks. So the next gotcha was one for me actually. So the migration. So mine happened on the 14th of October. I think you'll always remember your migration date. But it happens at midnight Pacific time. So my APAC team, the guys over in Malaysia and Singapore, they started their day obviously a lot earlier. They started working about lunchtime their time. They got booted out. So they had to then they were taken out of Marketo, and then they had to log in part way through the day. So again, if you've got a global team, think about this, prepare them a sort of a working day before. Something I probably would, we were on a Monday. One tip I would probably say is if you can and you are working global, maybe book a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So you've got that day, so you've not got from the Friday to the Monday, because I couldn't communicate with the guys and on the morning of the migration. So if you've got a global team, maybe go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Ilona mentioned it before. This was another gotcha. So I have had a number of reports, emails and program performance set up on the 1st of each month. So migrated on the 14th. On the 1st of November, I went to look for them in my emails, and there was none there. Again, that's going back to the URL is different. So you need to set up your report subscriptions and your bookmarks again. So if you've got them tabbed on one of your browsers, it's you only have to do it once, but then you've got it. And then the other one is make sure you whitelist your domains, especially the new domains that you've got. Again, the Experience League.
Next up, for the admin roles, important to assign access to the products and sandboxes in your new console. Support tickets will be migrated as a last step. So first the product and the users will be migrated, and then give it some time before your support tickets will also be moved. As shown through different screenshots, the UX will look a little different, but very easy to navigate and find yourself your way around. One thing that is still different in comparison to, for instance, Adobe Analytics or Adobe Analytics, is the fact that the Marketo Nation, so the community, is still is not yet an experience leak. So you just access this one through, like, after you logged in into the system and into Marketo, you have that tile and you can easily navigate to community, but it's still like in the old setting, in the old platform. And as mentioned at the beginning, so if you want to join on product innovations, etc. For instance, what we're currently testing is the new email editor, which will be launched next year. If you want to participate, or if you want to have access to these, the migration is really required. So you have to migrate.
Okay, so these are a few. They're not major issues that we've encountered, but there's a few to be aware of. So the majority of migrations do go smoothly. However, there are a few headaches in the initial instances that started changing back at the beginning of the year, and even the first as you migrate. So in the first few days, as you log in, you may seem that Marketo appears to load slow when logging in. It's not as quick as it used to be. You may find that if you're running a smart list or approving an email, it took longer than expected or previously, but this does settle down within 3 to 5 days. So like I say, we migrated on a Monday, and by the Thursday of that week, these issues had resolved and sort of settled down. The other thing, in the past, I used to log into Marketo first thing in the morning, and that was it. I was in Marketo all day long. If you go out for lunch or there's inactivity, you jump into another platform, you may need to log back in. And so you may need to do this 2 or 3 times a day, depending on whether you're in Marketo all day. If you don't have lunch, you're just having coffee, whatever. You can usually make a cup of coffee and it'll still keep you logged in. But if you go for lunch, it may log you out. The lost features. This is a bit like the subscriptions and the bookmarks that you had. I had a lot of staff sort of saying, "I've lost it, Marketo. It's not there. I can't find this. I can't find that." Everything that you had in Marketo before migration is still there. It's just in a different place. So again, that's just maybe for the admins to go back and cover either one-to-one, and like Ilona said, it may be somebody was out during migration, or they didn't read any of your emails. But they're usually easily resolved, and it's one of those show and tell things. Somebody, once you've shown them once, they'll remember where it is. So be prepared. Nothing has been lost. Don't worry about that. It's just it's all there. It's just maybe somewhere that you didn't expect it, or it's in a different user experience or design. The other things that we found is Marketo behaves differently in different browsers. So whether it's Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Edge, and also for Chrome, make sure you turn off your ad blockers. This is one I don't know had a problem with, is Ghostery. So again, I mean, Firefox is my default one. 9 times out of 10, absolutely fine. Every now and again, something's just sticking, not working. So I'll jump into Edge or Safari and see what happens. And usually it's resolved in the other. If it does fail to load or is buffeting or taking literally forever to save or produce a smart list, try a new browser, clear cookies and caches, disconnect from your VPN, try a different location. And again, these are kind of things that you will find probably in the first 3 to 5 days, but after that, they really do settle down. I'm not getting any reports, and I'm certainly not experiencing these kind of things myself anymore. Like Ilona said, support migration, it is literally the last step. So after all the users and the products have migrated, so there may be a period of time where you're straddling both, so the old Marketo and the new. So open cases that were in the old, they'll be there. So until every user and has been migrated, only then will your support move completely over into Experience League. So if you go into Experience League and you can't find anything, just go back and check your old one. And then if you've got somebody who's been missed, they're an unverified, their email is unverified as user. They may be an occasional user. They maybe only go in once a month, once a quarter, something like that. The thing they do need to be set up again. So they've missed the migration, but you just set them up like a new user. They have their Adobe ID created, and then you can add them to the Experience League as a new user and assign the correct products to that person, as well as the roles and permissions are obviously carried on from where they were before.
All right, now I want to open it up for any questions as well as concerns. I know that there is a ton of chat questions going on. Stephanie, thank you for jumping in and answering a lot of these. I'm going to kind of scroll through here and pick out anything that I feel or hasn't been answered. I think a lot of just questions or hesitations around just some of the gotchas or the flags. Zoe or Ilona, if you could speak to just kind of reiterate how maybe y'all went about that, or where y'all encountered these bumps, and just your overall confidence still in Marketo.
Sorry, a specific one? Or I think the gotchas that we had there, they were pretty much our experience and also talking to different champions. So from hearing it from us, these are ones to expect. Obviously, there's probably other ones that people may come across. But I was looking at through the chat list, the chat there. Robert, you were asking about the whitelist. I see Stephanie's how much longer took longer. Okay, so that was emails, for example. Instead of an email approval taking, I don't know, I've never timed it, but it takes probably 10 to 15 seconds. It was maybe taking 2 to 3 minutes to approve. A smart list, again, depending on how many filters and you had. Again, instead of it taking just a few seconds, it was maybe a minute. It absolutely didn't. There was no business impact. Again, there was no cases we had. There was something we must get this out, and it held up a newsletter or an email or anything going out. So there was no business impact that I found. So Robert, the presentation is experience from Iona, myself, and other champions that have fed in and given us one. We had one example where somebody said they had 30 admins. So it's like, well, how do you manage it with 30 admins? So that's one where we said, well, you have a project manager and break it down into smaller groups, but it certainly helps having a point person. Yes, Chloe, turn it off, turn it on. That's what IT would say. It's an oldie but a goodie, and it still does work.
Yeah. I think we have a question from Erica as well. Is there any information on how the Adobe Admin Console works for enterprises with multiple Adobe products, instances, and unique admins for each?
Stephanie, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to? Can you jump in? Oh, maybe Stephanie's not there. So the admins for each platform will get the notifications. So if you're an admin at the moment, you will get for each product and each platform and each instance, all admins will be informed.
Stephanie was having trouble with her mic. Oh. And so let's see, I'm scrolling through any other.
AJ, one thing that I wanted to share, I'm just thinking of was kind of a gotcha that I also experienced was users that migrated to IMS. Like I had to revise workspace and partition access for these users. So, and sometimes like whether they had access to, like our instance was divided between B2B, B2C, and default. And then they only had access to the default workspace after migration. So that was something that I had to adjust. So also something we can maybe add to the slides before sharing them with the people in the presentation.
Then Robert asked another question. Any clarification on impact on AEM users where we already use Adobe Admin Console? I think Stephanie responded, said roles and permissions stay intact at migration. And then Zoe, I see you just responded. Or can we use the same Adobe ID? Great.
So if you've already have an Adobe ID for AEM or Workfront or anything, you will use that same, as long as it's obviously the same instance or the same company, you will use that same Adobe ID. So you wouldn't have multiple Adobe IDs. The idea is that you will have the one the same user list and completely different roles and settings. The roles and settings are specific to the platform, so that won't change. So like Marketo, the roles and permissions are set in Marketo, not in the Adobe ID. Oh, yeah, Stephanie just answered that as well.
Right. And then one more, let's see here. Take from Christina. I'm struggling with the documentation. To Erica's point, we have numerous Adobe product instances that stands now. My Adobe ID doesn't appear to be connected. All right, Stephanie, thank you. I see you jumping in that one. Yeah, so I think these are most of the questions. I know Stephanie has jumped in here. I'm going to keep us moving to our resources and quick links that we put through. So obviously this deck will be shared out with everybody here for joining today. But we've also linked together all of the different resources to help you with your migration needs. So anything to our blog, to the actual product documentation, as well as any FAQs and privacy services. So please feel free to click through these. They are very, very helpful. And of course, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I know it may seem like a broad process. We went through it at Sprout Social, and I mean, we have a ton of users. I am happily to say we have very little like glitches or like approval times or anything like that. And we are a relatively big enterprise instance. So there is kind of the horizon there beyond the trees, or forest beyond the trees, whatever you want to call it. So personally, we've loved it. It's been a lot easier just for us to manage all of our Adobe products, just being in and out. So it's been a little bit seamless for us. So that being said, like I said, here are all the migration links. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Thank you.
Okay, and if anybody has got, I've just put on the chat to Robert, by all means, if anybody's got any questions, if they're very specific, then the Adobe support team will help you. But if they're more general or about what to expect, I'm happy to answer any questions. And so Iona, and we can give you some examples of the communication and also help guide you to we've given you a lot of resources there. AJ, if you can just go back, there are a lot of links, and each of those links, there's probably 2-3 pages for each of them. So there's a lot of text there. But if anybody wants some help just sort of finding the way around, even around the documentation, or wants to see what it looks like as you go through, please feel free to contact one of us. Any other questions?
All right. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll make sure to get this recorded, this deck out. And thank you to Ilona and Zoe for taking the time out of y'all's day to present all of this very, very useful information for Marketo users out there.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.